Okay, so a very interesting study by AirOps. I think we all should read it. The influence of Retrieval, Fanout, and Google SERPs on ChatGPT citation, right? And then it talks about three main findings, right? One, 85% of sources ChatGPT retrieves are never cited. Okay, so being being retrieved by ChatGPT means you're on ChatGPT's radar, but does not guarantee that you are going to get cited. Second thing is pages ranking number one in Google were cited 3.5 times more often than pages outside the top 20 results in SERPs, right? So this is really cool because if you're going for the first position, there's a lot more value than just being on Google. You can also get more likely to get cited in ChatGPT, right? Third thing is fan out queries create a second citation surface most brands haven't tapped into. So we all know you write your prompt, ChatGPT runs multiple other searches, children of this prompt, right? To collect information from different sources and then synthesize them together and give you the response. And that's how AI overviews works as well. And that's how a lot of the AI search generative models work, right? What they found here is that a lot of brands have not really doubled down and took advantage of those fan out queries. We're still focused on keywords. Our mindset is keywords, which is okay. But if we start to take a step back and look at what other queries or fan out queries, LLMs like ChatGPT and so on, need to perform in order to get the information they need, then we can actually create content that answers those fan out queries as well, right? And then another finding is that 74% of citations go to sites with DA under 80. So don't worry about your DA a lot when it comes to citations in ChatGPT. I wouldn't worry in general if you're doing SEO. It's useful, obviously, if you're in the link building business or you're doing like some backlinks audit or maybe you would need such metric. But in general, I wouldn't worry about DA. But even if you're a believer in the power of DA, well, you don't need to worry when it comes to ChatGPT. And then last but not least, strong search visibility still influences citation likelihood. So this is very, very interesting wording because strong search visibility, like if you're performing great in search, it influences your citation likelihood, which means you may or may not still be cited. And that shows there is still some discrepancy between what's ranking and performing in search and what gets cited. There is a discrepancy. You have a better chance. You're 3.5 more likely to get cited if you're ranking number one on Google. But there's still some differences. And big part of that is that just because ChatGPT retrieves your page does not mean it's going to cite it. 85% of the time, it does not cite it, right? And then, so just to elaborate on the fan out citation opportunities, so 95% of ChatGPT fan out queries have zero search monthly volume, which means important citation path often sit outside standard keyword tracking. A lot of people are still ignoring zero search volume keywords. Don't. I think what we need to be doing is going after query fan out, having a great copywriter who just understands what type of conversations we should be having, right? So you have the keyword that you're going after, the main one with a lot of, with big search volume or whatever, right? A good copywriter will be able to know what else that needs to be covered, what conversations there. Getting query fan out obviously is very helpful, but a good copywriter will be able to handle that. Now is definitely not the time to ignore zero search volume queries. You can get an idea of query fan out from Search Console, right? But the second thing I wanted to raise is that if you were using the console and trying to pull query fan out directly from ChatGPT after writing the prompt, this is not working anymore, right? So I did come across this blog post by Nective, Chris Long, and he talked about this. And then he also came across another post on LinkedIn by a guy called Jerome Solomon from Oncroll, who suggested another way, which is using OpenAI API and a Python script. And Chris here suggested a Python script, which I tried and tested, and it did not work for me. Like it did work, but it did not get the query fan out. I still need to test it a bit. If you have any ideas about this, let me know. But otherwise, if we go back to the study, um, it's really important that we take a step back and focus on topics versus keywords. Keywords are just um, directional. Like we should go after this direction, but don't be very specific about the keyword, and you need to go a bit wider around it and cover different topics and different angles. Hope you found this useful. Obviously, before I wrap this up, it's a challenge, right? Now we're saying, hey, even if a keyword has a zero search volume, this may be a query fan out. How would you build a business case? Things are getting really complicated for us right now in SEO, but let's do our best. Your best bet is a good copywriter who understands the users and understands how to write great content. Yeah, this is the ambiguous, generic, vague advice we've been hearing for so long. Like, share, subscribe, comment. Tell me if you find this useful, what your thoughts are, and see you next video. Bye.